Hello, Internet! Hey, remember that game I was working on a while ago? Well, I have some bad news. In case you're not familiar with the process of making a video game, it's not something I would describe as easy. Even the most low-quality or simple games have so many moving parts that for one to release is a miracle. Because of that, not that many games end up making it to release out of all the ones that start development. There are various different reasons that one might get cancelled, and a lot of them are pretty interesting to talk about. Starting off with the Atari 2600, there aren't too many notable examples, but we do have The Lord of the Rings Journey to Rivendell and Sword Quest Airworld, both having heavy RPG elements. Aside from the market crash at the time, making RPGs on home consoles at this time wasn't really feasible, so even later games for the 2600 like Homestar Runner RPG didn't end up panning out either. Technology not being advanced enough for games is a pretty big reason that they might get cancelled, but sometimes more powerful consoles don't help either. Take a look at the NES for example. There were plenty of ports planned for games like SimCity, Chip's Challenge, and John Madden Football, but all of them just came too close to the release of the new Super Nintendo. Later games weren't safe from this either. Rare's Dinosaur Planet on the N64 had to be reworked into a Star Fox game for the GameCube, and the sequel to the original Star Fox was shelved until the SNES Classic in 2017. Now Rare, they're a great studio, but also a whole other story when it comes to this stuff. Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye 007 were basically unrecognizable when they started development on the SNES, but nothing can compare to the fallout of Microsoft's buyout of Rare in the early 2000s. There would have been a sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day, a remake of Banjo-Kazooie, and a really cool-looking racing game to follow up Diddy Kong Racing that used the Donkey Kong universe much more, all down the drain. Which is a shame, because Rare did really well with developing 3D games pretty much right out of the gate, and that was a major hurdle for most developers around this time. One of the most infamous cancelled games of all time is Sonic X-treme, what would have been the first proper 3D game in the series. It had some pretty cool ideas, but none of them fit together, and the developers struggled a lot with it. Going back to the N64, there was an attachment for it called the 64 disk drive that you've probably never heard of for good reasons. It flopped hard, and a lot of its games were cancelled, most notably a sequel to Super Mario 64. This happens a lot with failed consoles. The list of unreleased Virtual Boy games is longer than the released ones. It's especially unfortunate in situations like this, since it's tough to rework a game made with specific hardware in mind. But one of the most disappointing reasons for a game to be cancelled, at least in my opinion, is random business disputes that just get in the way of things. There were so many cool-looking Mega Man games in development in the late 2000s that all went under after Keiji Inafune left Capcom, and the same happened with Silent Hills and Hideo Kojima, with any trace of the game being scrubbed. It's just frustrating when artists want to make cool things and people are looking forward to them, but then the big corporations just end up saying no. I've always appreciated fan creations because of it, since they can revive these projects. And hey, maybe that could happen with my cancelled game. Of course, somebody would need to leak it to gain access, and I doubt anybody will. Uh-oh.